I recently wrote a book called An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth. There are all sorts of challenges in flying in space. A lot of them are technical. It's an extremely dangerous and therefore complex thing to do. But a lot of them are human. If a robot blows up, it's sad and it's expensive, but it's not nearly as tragic or as important as if a spaceship with people on board is lost. Therefore, it requires a tremendous amount of organization and thus good leadership in order to safely fly in space. But the lessons that are learned in space are irrelevant if they don't come back to people on the ground. And that's why the book's title is An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, because that's what matters. And that's part of the reason we explore, is to bring back the fruits of exploration. And the purpose of the book is to try and look at the incredible examples that get exaggerated under the extreme conditions of spaceflight. It's sort of like using a microscope on a common problem. Suddenly you see things in an exaggerated way that you wouldn't otherwise. And then looking to see which out of those might be useful to people in normal life back on Earth. Problems such as, how do you deal with fear? And so many people allow their lives to be dictated by fear. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go into that room. I'm not going to try that. I'm not going to, whatever, walk in the forest afraid of snakes or spiders or failure or embarrassment or whatever. People allow themselves to be dictated by fear, irrational or not. Astronauts get on board rocket ships, huge explosives underneath the rear end, and somehow they have found a way to work around a natural, healthy fear so that they can surmount it enough that they can go do something that otherwise would be impossible. And that whole process of how it is that you can understand what it is that's making you afraid, analyze it right to its very roots, because of course it's not spiders you're afraid of, it's the bite. It's not heights you're afraid of, it's hitting the ground at the bottom. So if you can avoid the spider's bite, or if you can avoid hitting the ground after a fall, then you have removed the actual core of your fear. So perhaps there are only certain spiders that have a poisonous bite, or if you can strap yourself to the wall so there's no way you can fall, then even though you are facing a spider or facing a cliff, you don't need to be afraid of it. And that's how astronauts get on spaceships. We learned every little bite and every little cliff that's in there so that when they occur, we recognize it as oh, that's a non-poisonous, or I'm already bolted to the wall for that one, so I'm going to be okay. And it's through that careful sweating of the small stuff and visualizing failure. Don't ever visualize success. What's the point? Visualize failure and look at it. Why is that going to fail? How is that going to make me afraid? What am I going to do about it? What are the actual super small technical differences between a poisonous spider and a spider that doesn't even have pincers? And learn those things, and then you can confidently and comfortably go into a situation that previously would have paralyzed you with fear. And the book looks at that type of example of something that you have to overcome or have figured out a solution to as an astronaut, and turns it around so that it can then hopefully be useful to people just in their conducting of their regular everyday lives, and especially applicable if you're in charge of a group of people as a leader. How can you recognize those problems and give people the skills with which to deal with them?